The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning. Every screen at Earth's United Defense Council headquarters suddenly flickered to life, displaying the same urgent transmission. The aliens called themselves the Coalition, and they were terrified. People of Earth, the alien speaker's voice trembled, its blue-skinned face showing clear signs of distress. We need your help. We are dying. General James Smith stood before the main screen, his coffee cup frozen halfway to his mouth. In his 30 years of service, he had never seen anything like this. The Coalition was known to be one of the most powerful groups in the galaxy. They had ships the size of cities and weapons that could reshape planets. And now they were begging Earth, a relatively new member of the galactic community, for help. Our strongest warriors are falling, the alien continued. Our most powerful weapons are useless. We need Earth's mightiest warrior. We have heard stories of your kind's incredible ability to overcome impossible odds. Please, we are desperate. The council room erupted into chaos. Representatives from every major nation argued about what to do. Some wanted to send their best soldiers. Others suggested nuclear weapons. A few even proposed sending entire armies. In the back of the room, Dr. Linda Brown sat quietly, watching the alien message replay for the 10th time. Something wasn't right. She noticed how the alien's hands moved, how its eyes darted around. There was something they weren't telling Earth. What exactly is killing their warriors? She asked suddenly, her voice cutting through the noise. The room fell silent. The alien transmission crackled. We cannot explain it properly in your language, but it is unstoppable. Our strongest fighters last only minutes against it. We have lost thousands. Dr. Brown stood up. Show us. The screen changed to show a battlefield. What they saw made several council members gasp. Crystal-like creatures, each the size of a small car, moved across the landscape. Coalition warriors in advanced battle suits attacked them with energy weapons, but the crystals didn't even scratch. Instead, they seemed to grow stronger with each hit. Notice something. Dr. Brown pointed at the screen. They're not actually killing anyone. They're just breaking things. Equipment, weapons, buildings. General Smith squinted at the footage. You're right. But why would that terrify the Coalition so much? Because they only know how to solve problems with force, a quiet voice said from the doorway. Everyone turned to look. Tom Miller stood there with his cleaning cart, a mop in his hand. He had been quietly cleaning the floors during the meeting, as he did it every day. He immediately looked embarrassed when he realized everyone was staring at him. Sorry, he mumbled. Just, those crystal things remind me of the mineral buildup I have to clean in the bathrooms. Really hard to remove if you just try to scratch it off. But with the right cleaning solution. He trailed off, quickly returning to his mopping. Dr. Brown's eyes widened. She looked at the footage again, then at Tom, then at General Smith. A smile slowly spread across her face. I think, she said carefully, I know exactly who we should send. Who? General Smith demanded. Our best special forces. The Marines? No. Dr. Brown pointed at Tom, who was now trying very hard to become invisible behind his mop. Him. The room exploded in protest. Tom's mop clattered to the floor in shock, but Dr. Brown held up her hand. Think about it, she said. The Coalition has already tried brute force. They've tried weapons. They've tried everything they know. But they don't know what Tom knows. They don't understand the patience it takes to remove stubborn stains, the knowledge of how different materials react to different solutions, the persistence needed to keep cleaning even when your back hurts. She turned to face the council. The Coalition asked for our mightiest warrior, but maybe what they really need is someone who understands that not every problem can be solved with strength. General Smith looked at Tom, who was now picking up his fallen mop with a slight wince. His back was acting up again. The general thought about all the times he had passed Tom in the hallways, how the janitor always had a solution for even the toughest stains, how he never gave up until the job was done. Dr. Brown, the general said slowly, I think you might be right. The council voted unanimously. Earth would send help to the coalition, but instead of their strongest warrior, they would send their most persistent one. Tom Miller, the janitor with a bad back and 20 years of experience in dealing with impossible messes. The fate of the galaxy now rested in the hands of a man who knew that sometimes the toughest problems required the gentlest solutions. Tom Miller was cleaning the men's bathroom on the 3rd floor when his life changed forever. He had just finished scrubbing a particularly stubborn stain when 2 government agents in black suits walked in. They looked oddly out of place next to the caution, "Wet floor" sign. Mr. Miller, the taller agent asked, carefully stepping around the freshly mopped area. We need you to come with us. Tom leaned on his mop, his back twinging as usual. Can I at least finish this bathroom first? The agents looked at each other. This wasn't the response they usually got when telling someone they'd been chosen for a critical space mission. 20 minutes later, Tom sat in a briefing room, still wearing his gray janitor uniform. Military officers and scientists surrounded him, explaining why he had been chosen to save an alien civilization. But I'm just a janitor, Tom said, shifting uncomfortably in his chair. My back hurts most days, I have terrible anxiety, and I get dizzy on stepladders. How am I supposed to help fight alien monsters? Dr. Brown smiled. That's exactly why you're perfect for this mission. You see, the coalition doesn't need another warrior. They need someone who thinks differently. She pulled up images of the crystal creatures on the screen. These beings are like nothing they've ever faced. But to you, they might look familiar. Tom squinted at the screen. Yeah, kind of like that thick mineral buildup that forms in the showers. The kind that gets worse if you try to scrape it off. He paused. You really think cleaning experience is going to help fight alien monsters? We believe your unique qualifications make you ideal for this mission, General Smith said. Your constant back pain means you've learned to work smarter, not harder. Your anxiety has made you incredibly observant, and your years of cleaning have taught you more about chemical reactions and material degradation than most scientists. Tom looked down at his worn hands, scared from years of working with strong cleaning solutions. What if I fail? Mr. Miller, Dr. Brown said gently, do you remember last month when everyone said that coffee stain in the conference room carpet was impossible to remove? Tom nodded. It had taken him 3 days of careful testing with different solutions, but he'd gotten it out without damaging the carpet. You didn't give up then. You never give up. That's why we chose you. The next few hours were a blur of briefings and preparations. They gave Tom a special spacesuit, modified to help with his back pain. He packed his personal toolkit, not weapons, but a carefully curated collection of cleaning supplies and solutions he'd perfected over the years. The coalition representatives arrived to meet their chosen warrior. They were tall, blue-skinned beings in gleaming armor. Their faces fell visibly when they saw Tom. This is Earth's mightiest warrior, one of them asked, watching Tom struggle to lift his toolkit. No, General Smith replied firmly. He's something better. He's our most persistent problem solver. The coalition leaders whispered among themselves in their own language. Finally, their leader stepped forward. We asked for help, and Earth has chosen to send this. He gestured at Tom, who was now checking if he remembered to pack his favorite spray bottle. Trust in Earth's wisdom, Dr. Brown said. Sometimes the best solution isn't the most obvious one. As Tom prepared to board the alien ship, a young janitor who worked with him rushed up. Mr. Miller, I heard you're going to space to fight monsters. Tom smiled and handed him a set of keys. Take care of the 3rd floor while I'm gone, Billy. Remember what I taught you about the stubborn grout stains in the men's room. But aren't you scared? Billy asked. Tom looked up at the massive alien ship, then down at his toolkit. His back was already aching, and his anxiety was making his hands shake slightly. But he'd never let a tough stain beat him before, and he wasn't about to start now. Sure, I'm scared, he said. But you know what's scarier than alien monsters? The mystery stains in the executive bathroom after Taco Tuesday. If I can handle those, I can handle anything. With that, Tom Miller, the janitor with a bad back and a perfect record for stain removal, stepped onto the alien ship. The fate of the galaxy now rested in hands that smelled faintly of pine-scented cleaner. The Coalition's main space station was the biggest thing Tom had ever seen. It made the office building he used to clean look like a toy. As he stepped off the ship, his cleaning supplies tucked safely in his cart, hundreds of alien eyes stared at him in disbelief. "Welcome to Central Command," said Commander Rex, the blue-skinned Coalition leader. He spoke through a translator device that made his voice sound robotic. "Though I must admit, we expected someone different." Tom nodded, trying to ignore his aching back. The space travel hadn't helped his condition at all. "Your floors are very shiny," he said, looking down. "Good buffing technique." The aliens exchanged confused looks. This was not how mighty warriors usually reacted to their command center. "Perhaps we should get you to Medical Bay first," Commander Rex suggested, watching Tom stretch his sore muscles. "Our healing technology is the best in the galaxy. We can fix your problems." Tom followed them to a room full of strange machines that hummed and glowed. Alien doctors scanned him with devices that looked like fancy flashlights. "Fascinating," one doctor said, frowning at the readings. "Your spine shows years of wear. Your anxiety levels are far above normal. And your body contains traces of numerous cleaning chemicals. How do you function?" "You get used to it," Tom shrugged. "Besides, the chemicals aren't bad. I always wear gloves." The aliens insisted on trying to fix him. They put him in a giant machine that was supposed to repair his back. It didn't work. They tried another machine to calm his anxiety. That didn't work either. They even tried to purify his body of cleaning chemical residues, but gave up when their machines couldn't tell the difference between harmful and helpful substances. "This is unprecedented," the head doctor announced. "Our technology should be able to heal any condition." Tom just smiled. Sometimes the best solution isn't fixing something, but learning to work with it. While the doctors argued about their failed attempts, Tom started noticing things around the station. His anxiety always made him pay attention to details. It was how he spotted tiny stains others missed. Now those observation skills were showing him something interesting. The station's walls had strange patterns on them, similar to the crystal creatures in the videos. But these patterns were small, barely noticeable. Tom pulled out his magnifying glass, essential for spotting mold in corners, and took a closer look. "Commander Rex," he called out, interrupting the medical debate, "how long have these crystal patterns been on your walls?" The commander looked confused. "What patterns?" Tom pointed them out. "See here. And here. They're spreading, but very slowly, like mineral deposits in a pipe." He pulled out a small notebook where he'd kept records of every stain he'd ever encountered. "Reminds me of what happened when we had hard water problems in the building's west wing." The aliens crowded around, suddenly very interested in their walls. They'd never noticed the patterns before. Their scanners were designed to detect large threats, not tiny changes in surface texture. "You learned all this from cleaning?" Commander Rex asked, his translator barely hiding his surprise. "When you've been cleaning as long as I have, you learn to spot problems before they get big," Tom explained, wincing as his back twinged again. "Speaking of which, would you mind if I tested something?" He pulled out a spray bottle filled with a clear solution. The aliens watched in confusion as Tom sprayed a small section of the wall where the crystal pattern was visible. The pattern began to fade almost immediately. "Just as I thought," Tom said, making a note in his book. "Similar reaction to calcium deposits. We might be dealing with the same basic problem, just on a much bigger scale." Commander Rex stared at the clean section of wall, then at Tom, then at the cleaning cart that held more supplies than their entire weapons vault. "Perhaps," the commander said slowly, "we were too quick to judge Earth's choice of warrior." Tom wasn't listening. He was already mixing chemicals in a new bottle, muttering to himself about phase levels and surface tension. His back hurt, his hand shook slightly from anxiety, and he was surrounded by confused aliens on a space station far from home. But none of that mattered. He had a cleaning challenge to solve, and Tom Miller had never met a stain he couldn't beat. Tom sat in the Coalition's war room, surrounded by holograms showing the crystal creatures attacking another outpost. His back was killing him, but he barely noticed. He was too busy taking notes. There. He pointed at the screen. Can you play that part again? The aliens rewound the footage. A massive crystal being smashed through a Coalition battle tank like it was made of paper. But Tom wasn't watching the destruction. He was watching the ground where the creature had stepped. Look at the residue it leaves behind, he said, pulling out his trusty magnifying glass. It's exactly like the patterns I found on your station walls. These things aren't just destroying. They're growing. Commander Rex leaned forward. Growing? What do you mean? Tom pulled out his notebook, flipping to a page filled with drawings and chemical formulas. It's like that time we had a mineral buildup problem in all the toilets at work. The harder we scrubbed, the worse it got. Because we weren't dealing with dirt, we were dealing with crystal growth. He stood up, ignoring his protesting spine, and walked to the main screen. Your weapons aren't working because you're basically feeding them. Each energy blast is like pouring fertilizer on a weed. The room fell silent. Dozens of alien warriors, scientists and leaders stared at the human janitor, who had just explained in simple terms what their best minds had missed. Watch this, Tom said. He pulled up pictures he'd taken of the wall sections he tested. When I used standard cleaning products, nothing happened. But when I mixed a descaling solution, the kind we use to clean coffee machines, the crystal patterns started breaking down. He pointed to different pictures, showing how various cleaning solutions had affected the crystals. Each mixture did something different. Some made the crystals softer, some stopped them from growing. And this one, he held up a green bottle. This one actually dissolved them completely. A Coalition scientist grabbed the bottle, scanning it with their devices. But this is just a simple acid-based solution. How did we not think of this? Because you were thinking like warriors, Tom said, sitting back down as his back reminded him he'd been standing too long. You wanted to fight them. Sometimes you don't need to fight. You just need to clean up. Commander Rex paced the room. If what you're saying is true, then all our military planning has been making things worse, Tom finished. He pulled out a large sheet of paper where he'd drawn a detailed diagram. See, these creatures are like living crystals. They feed on energy. That's why your weapons make them stronger. But if we treat them like a cleaning problem instead of a fighting problem. He laid out his plan. It wasn't complicated. In fact, it was basically the same process he used to deal with tough mineral deposits in the building's plumbing system. But instead of cleaning pipes, they'd be cleaning entire planets. We'll need to make a lot more cleaning solution, he said. And we'll need special sprayers, like my bottles but bigger. Much bigger. One of the alien warriors laughed. You want us to fight an invasion with cleaning supplies? Tom shook his head. No, I want you to stop fighting and start cleaning. Trust me, I've been doing this for 20 years. Sometimes the hardest problems have the simplest solutions. To prove his point, he pulled out a small spray bottle filled with his green solution. A security screen on the wall had started showing the familiar crystal pattern. Tom carefully sprayed it, and everyone watched as the crystals dissolved harmlessly away. That's all we need to do, he said, just on a bigger scale. Commander Rex studied the clean screen, then looked at Tom with new respect. How long will it take to make enough of this solution? Tom did some quick calculations in his notebook. With your technology and my recipes. A few days. But here's the thing. He pointed to his diagrams again. We need to be thorough. Like when I clean bathrooms. If you miss a spot, the problem just comes back worse than before. The commander nodded slowly. Then we will follow your lead, Janitor Tom. Tell us what you need. Tom smiled and opened his cleaning supply catalog. Well, first we're going to need a lot of vinegar. For the first time since the crisis began, there was hope in the war room. They finally understood their enemy, not as a force to be fought, but as a mess to be cleaned up. And if there was one thing Tom Miller knew how to do, it was clean up messes. The Coalition's main factory had never produced cleaning supplies before. For thousands of years, it had made weapons, ships, and armor. Now, under Tom's direction, it was making the galaxy's largest batch of descaling solution. Careful with that mix, Tom called out, watching alien workers pour massive tanks of vinegar. Too strong, and it won't work. Too weak, and it's useless. It needs to be just right. He checked his notebook again, where he'd carefully written down all his best cleaning recipes. His back was hurting worse than ever from all the walking around, but he couldn't rest. Not when they were so close to a solution. The aliens had given him a hover chair, but he only used it when absolutely necessary. Some things needed a personal touch. Commander Rex watched from above as Tom hobbled from station to station, checking mixtures and teaching aliens how to properly mix cleaning solutions. I still don't understand, the commander said. How can such simple substances defeat an enemy our strongest weapons couldn't touch? Tom dipped a testing strip into one of the tanks. Simple isn't always bad. Look at water. It's simple, but give it enough time, and it can carve through mountains. He checked the strip's color. Perfect. This batch is ready. The aliens had also modified Tom's spray bottles into something much bigger. They called them clean cannons, which made Tom laugh. They were basically giant pressure washers, designed to his specifications. Remember, Tom told the alien warriors who were learning to use the new equipment, this isn't about blasting them. You need to be thorough, methodical. Cover every spot, just like when you're cleaning a really dirty shower. One warrior raised his hand. But what if they attack us while we're cleaning? Tom smiled and pulled out another spray bottle. This one was filled with a different solution. That's why we made this too. It's like the stuff I use to keep mold from growing back. Spray it first, and the crystals can't form in that area. We create safe zones, then work from there. The aliens were starting to understand. It wasn't about quick victories or dramatic battles. It was about patient, careful work. They watched Tom demonstrate the proper spraying technique, noting how he took his time, made sure every spot was covered. But this will take so long, another warrior complained. Yes, Tom agreed, stretching his aching back. Just like getting gum off the bottom of a desk or removing years of soap scum from a shower door. But if you do it right, the problem stays solved. He pointed to a map showing crystal creature sightings. See how they spread. It's just like mold in a building. You can't just clean one spot and call it done. You have to treat the whole area, or it comes right back. The Coalition scientists were amazed by the simplicity of Tom's solutions. They had tried to enhance his formulas with advanced technology, but the basic mixtures worked best. Sometimes, they learned, the old ways were the right ways. Your weapons didn't work because you were thinking too big, Tom explained while mixing another batch. These creatures are like any other cleaning problem. You have to understand what they're made of, find the right solution to break them down, and be patient enough to do the job right. Commander Rex called a meeting of all Coalition forces. Thousands of warriors gathered to hear their new battle plan, expecting tales of glory and combat. Instead, they got a lesson in proper cleaning techniques from a human janitor with a bad back. This is your new weapon, Tom said, holding up a spray bottle. His hand shook slightly from his usual anxiety, but his voice was steady. And this is your new mission. Clean. Be thorough. Don't miss spots. Work together. And most importantly, be patient. The warriors looked at their new cleaning equipment, then at each other. This wasn't how they expected to fight a war, but they had seen the test results. They had watched Tom's solutions dissolve crystal patterns that their strongest weapons couldn't scratch. As the meeting ended, Commander Rex turned to Tom. "You've given us hope, Janitor Tom. But tell me honestly, do you really think this will work?" Tom looked at his hands, scared from years of working with cleaning chemicals. "Commander, in 20 years of cleaning, I've never met a stain I couldn't remove. These crystals, they're just another tough stain. And tough stains don't stand a chance against the right cleaner and a little patience." The biggest cleaning job in galaxy history was about to begin, and Earth's chosen champion was ready, armed with nothing more than cleaning supplies and decades of experience dealing with stubborn messes. The first test of Tom's cleaning strategy came sooner than expected. A group of crystal beings attacked a coalition outpost on a nearby moon. Instead of sending warriors with weapons, they sent cleaners with spray tanks. Tom watched from the command center, his heart racing with his usual anxiety. "Remember what I taught you," he said into the radio. "Start from the edges and work your way in, just like cleaning a really big floor." The aliens followed his instructions perfectly. First, they sprayed his anti-growth solution in a wide circle around the crystal beings, creating a barrier they couldn't cross. Then, working in teams, they began systematically spraying the creatures with the cleaning solution. "Look," Commander Rex pointed at the screen. "It's working." The crystal beings weren't shattering or exploding like they would with weapons. Instead, they were slowly dissolving, shrinking away like soap scum under a good cleaner. When they tried to grow bigger, they couldn't. The treated areas were now immune to their crystal spread. "Keep going," Tom encouraged the teams. "Don't rush. Missing spots is worse than going slow." His back was killing him from standing too long, but he couldn't sit down. Not now. He pulled out his notebook and started taking notes on how the crystals reacted to different concentrations of the cleaning solution. One of the alien warriors got excited and tried to spray too quickly. No, Tom called out. "You're using too much pressure. Let the chemicals do the work. You're not blasting them away. You're cleaning them up." The warrior adjusted his technique, and the results improved immediately. The crystal beings continued to dissolve, leaving nothing but clean ground behind. After 3 hours of careful, methodical cleaning, the area was crystal-free. Not a single coalition member had been injured. Not a single weapon had been fired. "This is incredible," Commander Rex said, reviewing the footage. "But it took so long." Tom nodded. "Good cleaning always does. But look, that area is completely clear now, and the protection spray will keep it that way. It's like when I seal a floor after cleaning it. The work takes time, but the results last." Word of the success spread quickly. Other coalition stations began requesting Tom's cleaning solutions and instructions. He spent hours teaching alien crews the proper way to mix chemicals and apply them effectively. "You're back," one of the alien doctors noticed. "It's getting worse from all this work." Tom shrugged, then winced at the pain. Some things are worth a little discomfort. But the aliens insisted on helping. They modified his hover chair into a mobile command station, complete with screens showing all the cleaning operations and a built-in rack for his cleaning supplies. Tom had to admit it was easier to supervise from there. The crystal beings seemed confused by the new approach. They were used to enemies who fought back, who used energy weapons that made them stronger. They didn't know how to handle enemies who simply cleaned them away, patiently and thoroughly. "See," Tom told Commander Rex as they watched another successful cleaning operation. "They can't fight back against this because there's nothing to fight. We're not attacking them. We're just tidying up." The commander nodded slowly. "My warriors are beginning to understand. They take pride in their thoroughness now, not their strength." Tom smiled. "That's the secret of good cleaning. It's not about power. It's about attention to detail and patience." Reports started coming in from across coalition space. Everywhere Tom's cleaning strategy was used, the crystal beings were retreating. They couldn't maintain their growth in areas treated with his solutions, and they couldn't fight against enemies who refused to fight back. Earth was right, Commander Rex admitted. watching another crystal formation dissolve under careful cleaning. We didn't need a mighty warrior. We needed someone who understood that some problems can't be solved with force. Tom just nodded, making another note in his book. His hands still shook from anxiety, his back still ached, and he was millions of miles from his familiar cleaning rounds. But none of that mattered. Because Tom Miller, the janitor from Earth, had turned the tide of an intergalactic crisis with nothing more than cleaning supplies and 20 years of experience dealing with stubborn stains. 1 month after Tom Miller arrived in Coalition space, the last major crystal formation was scheduled for cleaning. Tom watched from his hover chair as thousands of alien workers prepared their cleaning equipment, all built from his original spray bottle designs. Hard to believe it all started with a janitor's cart, Commander Rex said, standing beside him. The commander now wore a cleaning suit instead of battle armor, like all Coalition forces. Tom checked the mixture levels in the massive tanks. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones. His back still hurt, but he had gotten used to it, just like always. The final crystal formation was the biggest they'd ever seen. A massive structure that sparkled dangerously in the alien sun. Before Tom arrived, this would have been met with armies and weapons. Now it was met with cleaning crews and spray tanks. All teams in position, the radio crackled, ready to begin final cleaning operation. Tom leaned forward in his chair. Remember everyone, this is just like cleaning the biggest bathroom you've ever seen. Start from the top, work your way down, don't miss any spots. The operation began. Hundreds of spray teams moved in perfect coordination, applying Tom's special mixture just as he had taught them. The crystal structure began to dissolve, exactly like a tough scale deposit under the right cleaner. Look at our warriors, Commander Rex said proudly. A month ago, they would have rushed in shooting. Now they're taking their time, being thorough. Tom nodded. The aliens had learned well. They worked in careful patterns, making sure every crystal was completely dissolved before moving on. No rushing, no skipping spots, no taking shortcuts. As the hours passed, the massive crystal formation slowly disappeared. Some of the younger aliens wanted to celebrate early, but Tom made them go back and check every corner, just like he did when training new janitors back on Earth. Remember, he called out, a job's not finished until you've checked it twice. Finally, after 12 hours of methodical cleaning, it was done. The last crystal formation was gone, leaving nothing but clean, treated ground that would resist any future growth. The Coalition erupted in celebration. Warriors who once prided themselves on their fighting skills now boasted about their cleaning technique. Scientists who had built weapons now worked on improving cleaning solutions. Earth sent us their weakest warrior, Commander Rex announced to the cheering crowds, and in doing so, sent us exactly what we needed. Tom Miller taught us that true strength isn't always about power. Tom sat quietly in his chair, making final notes in his worn notebook. His hands still shook slightly from anxiety, but they had never once shaken while mixing cleaning solutions. The Coalition's highest leaders gathered to honor him. They offered him medals, titles, and rewards. Tom politely declined them all. I just want to go home, he said. My building's bathrooms won't clean themselves. Before he left, Commander Rex had one last question. Did Earth know? When we asked for their mightiest warrior, did they understand that what we really needed was a janitor? Tom smiled. I think they did. Sometimes the biggest problems don't need the biggest solutions. They just need the right ones. The trip back to Earth was much faster than the journey out. Tom spent most of it writing down everything he'd learned about cleaning crystal beings, just in case it ever happened again. When he arrived at work the next Monday, everything was exactly as he'd left it. He put on his uniform, checked his cleaning cart, and started his usual rounds. Mr. Miller, young Billy called out. Is it true? Did you really save the galaxy? Tom shrugged, wincing at his familiar back pain. I just did what I always do, Billy. Found the right cleaning solution for a tough problem. He looked at his reflection in the freshly mopped floor. He was still just Tom Miller, the janitor with a bad back and anxiety issues. But now he was also the man who had taught an alien civilization that sometimes the mightiest warrior isn't the strongest one. It's the one who knows how to clean up the biggest messes. Now, he said, pulling out his favorite spray bottle, let's see what kind of stains built up while I was gone. A janitor's work is never really done. And with that, Earth's most unlikely hero went back to work, armed with nothing but cleaning supplies and the patience to use them properly. After all, whether it's crystal aliens or bathroom mold, some problems just need the right cleaner and someone stubborn enough to stick with the job until it's done right.